And similar to Senator Ríordáin, it's very difficult not to be emotional to be standing in this chamber speaking on this bill, sitting beside somebody like Lynn and Colette Keller here, who's worked in homeless services in Cork, yourself, Minister, who's been so supportive of this legislation, people from Anna Liffey Trust in the gallery, Marcus Keane and Tony Duffin, who have been spearheading the campaign for this legislation for quite a long time. I had your role, as you know, Minister, in the last government, and when I first came across the Anna Liffey project and listened to the humanity of what they were trying to achieve, it was very difficult to find any logical reason as to why this city in Dublin, or this country as in Ireland, wouldn't pursue what other cities and countries have done. This is not, as others have said, a pioneering facility for Europe. In fact, there's 88 such facilities across Europe. There's one in Sydney as well, and also in North America. The fundamental point is that these will save lives. We have the third highest overdose rate in Europe. We have people literally today injecting in side alleys, in the open air, extremely dangerous injecting. They're liable to contract any sort of a blood-borne disease, hepatitis C, you've mentioned, Minister, HIV, you've mentioned, Minister, but they're also likely to die. And the reality is, and it was brought home to me after the election, actually, during the 1916 commemorations, there was 2 deaths of young men in Dublin city centre within a stone's throw of the GPO. One, ironically enough, in Connolly Station. At the toilets of Connolly Station, a young man overdosed and died, and another young man overdosed and stayed overnight for 2 nights in Foley Street in the North Inner City, and it didn't make the news at all. Nobody noticed because nobody cared, because on some level Irish society has said it's their own fault. We have a kind of a mentality of victim blaming when it comes to heroin overdose or heroin use. And it's remarkable the different type of media reporting that you'll get if somebody, a student, dies as a result of taking a pill in a nightclub, and all the commentary will be about the future this young person could have had and why the politicians aren't doing more. But somebody dies of an overdose in a toilet in Dublin or in Cork, not one column inch, not one report about it. Now, there are some journalists I think need to be congratulated on the way they've supported this bill. Stuart Clark is a classic example from the hot press. Cormac O'Keefe from the Irish Examiner, extremely supportive of this initiative. But there's others who continually, in the Irish media, degrade and dehumanise those in addiction using terminology which dehumanises them and undermines them, and are perpetuating this problem, in my view, Minister, and who will misrepresent what we're trying to achieve in this chamber. I want to congratulate people from your own party, Minister. People like Pascal Donoghue and Leo Varadkar, you've mentioned, and Francis Fitzgerald, who backed this idea from the beginning. People in my own party, such as Joan Burton. People like Jonathan O'Brien from Sinn Féin, from the very beginning, was very supportive of this initiative. Maureen O'Sullivan, the Independent. Jack Chambers, the new deputy from Fianna Fáil, his submission to the National Drug Strategy in support of this initiative. This initiative will save lives. Will save lives. And on that basis, surely, I don't see how anybody, logically, could have an issue with it. Now, obviously, the regulations are going to be ones that we have to investigate carefully. Yes, it is, for many people, a jump into a radical new way of thinking when it comes to drug policy. But I would ask anybody who has a question mark over this, if it was your brother or sister, because it is somebody's brother and sister, if it was your father or mother, if it was your child, where do you want them to inject if they're sucked into hopeless addiction? Behind a skip, in a toilet, or in a facility which is surrounded by services in a compassionate and safer manner? That's the question. Nobody has ever died in an injecting centre anywhere in the world. It is the first step on the road to recovery. This will fail if all we give people is a room to inject. It has to be a suite of services that people will be able to take that first step on the road to recovery. But it is remarkable, Minister, and I'm sure you have this as well. No matter where I go, people will quietly approach me and tip me on the shoulder and say, "Thanks for what you've done with the injecting centre. My son died of an overdose." Or, my brother died of an overdose. But they are ashamed to say it. any other issue of health, we'd have a packed gallery here. We'd have a rally outside because people want to give voice to the fact that people are literally dying on the streets. But they don't do it with heroin overdose because continually we've managed to dehumanise this debate and to blame the victim. Minister, I want to congratulate you for taking on this and making it and internalising it and driving it forward. I'm so proud to be standing here with other people in this chamber who are making this happen. There are other parts of the country who are crying out for a centre of this nature. But this is a good, decent thing we're doing today. It's not easy sometimes in politics to stand up for the person who is most vulnerable, the person who will be demonised and dehumanised in Irish media and often in politics as well. But today politics is actually standing up for that individual. And these lives will be saved. You're to be commended for that, Minister, and I can't honestly wait to the day that this legislation is passed and that we can have a centre that's open and we'll realise that all of us collectively were right in pursuing that, and it will be the first, I'm quite sure, of many ministers. So I congratulate you and I support you 100% in the passage of this bill.
Thank you.